Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for coming to our show and tell number 20. We've been working on this now for quite some time. We've started to have new people joining the group, so and we're starting to sort of change our focus and shift focus to different things. Just a quick catch up to talk about show and tells in general. We try and do this at the end of every sprint. The sprint lasts 3 weeks. So please make sure you come back and join in every single time. It's just a way of us refreshing what we've been doing, making sure everyone's up to speed with what's happening. We work, as I say, in an agile way, which is to run through on a sprint basis, which is on every 3 weeks. We do a little at a time, trying to deliver whenever we can, to make sure that we have iterative changes on during the process, so that we are continually improving the site along the way. Just wanted to say. And cover that our vision, which we've recently updated in our last sprint. We wanted to to concentrate more on the service delivery as in general across to all customers, and we wanted to focus on the residents. So our vision now is to give residents more free time to make everything that they do within the council faster and easier, which of course could cover everyone within the council, but we think that digital enables people to do everything faster and easier. So it's our role to try and improve that for everybody in all the services. Okay, so part of this sprint, as I said, we've sort of come to a natural end for some of the work that we've been doing. We've been consolidating the work that happened after Unitary, trying to catch up on some things, and then we've been trying to start to refocus ourselves in terms of what do we need to do over the next 18 months or so in order to shift us from being a unified multiple councils over to being something which is a single Buckinghamshire Council. And as part of that, we've been trying to refocus what we've been doing and set some guidelines as to what we can achieve by the end of this year, as well as look at sort of the more long term about how we are going to start shutting down our legacy sites. So one of the things that we established is that we need to set up some really clear guidelines for our services about what we will be doing over this period of time. And that's about producing publishing a content strategy and making some very clear set of principles that people can rely on, and it also set up some sort of loose roadmap for them in order to be able to present, to understand when we may be able to engage with them as a service across over that time. The aim would be to try and set up to have a team which is dedicated to this, and then within the not too distant future, be able to write some of this governance to start off with, set up a rough roadmap, and then start to engage with with at least 2 service areas, so that we have two service areas moved over by the end of this year, and then use that as a rolling process to be able to move over individual service areas throughout the rest of the year, so that we have this clear end date of where we have to turn off all of our legacy sites, which is in March 2022, I believe. I don't think it's 2021. That terrified me. Thanks for that. Okay, so this in the last sprint, what we've been doing, we've concentrated quite a lot actually on the Family Information Service. They've done a lot of work with FutureGov in terms of developing their directory, but part of that is to move over their content as well, and they've agreed to move that into the same ecosystem that we're working with, which is Wagtail, which is fantastic news. But what we were trying to do is look at some of the content which has been engaged or been developed through FutureGov and see how that integrates within our service. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We've also been reviewing some of our top level categories, trying to make sure that the information is where people expect to find them. We've had I guess an emergency request for a lockdown lookup, which we've been working on, trying to make sure that people can put in a postcode and tell whether or not they're in a local lockdown or not. That's moving ahead, as well as continuing on the policy work, as well as the schema.org work, as well as the various degrees of technical debt, which is working on the coronavirus accessibility fixes. We've actually made substantial changes to the accessibility changes in time for yesterday's deadline for our new accessibility statements to be published. And we've been working with the Shaw Trust. They came up with a very long list of sort of real world examples for us to work through. So those are the things that we've been working on. And I believe David will take us through the Family Information Service.
All right, I'm off mute now. Thanks very much, Colin. So if you could go to the first slide, please. So I think that's not the. I think there's a slide before that, maybe. Yeah, thank you. So during this sprint, we've been looking at the Family Information Service, looking at the content and templates. One of the most important things we need from the FIS templates is to ensure FIS has a really strong identity, because it's much loved by users, and it will make sure they feel as if it's slightly different from the main Buck site. But then this presents its own challenge, that we've got to ensure that the Buck site and the FIS content work effectively together. So over the past few days, we've had many discussions and agreed that the best solution is to create a microsite for Family Information Service, which will sit alongside the main Buck site. The microsite will have its own homepage, its own top-level category pages, its own footer and header, and its own subdomain. On the main Buck site, the careers website, the careers microsite already follows this sort of pattern. So it proves that it works, and we're really confident that this will suit the FIS content well. Could I have the next slide, please? So over the coming weeks, as well as developing the templates that both us and FIS are happy with, our other challenge is ensuring that we minimize duplication of content. And we'll be working with closely with content owners to resolve any IA questions, look at the content, and come up with a map we can follow for the creating and migrating the content. And next slide, please, Colin. Oh, there's one before that. So another major element of our work in the next sprint will be testing user journeys, just to make sure that users are moving between the FIS microsite and the main Buck site, and that the process is intuitive and simple for users. So the plan is for over the next few days is for me to work with Sarah to build some templates, make sure everybody's happy with the work we've done, and then we can test it with users and hopefully get some good feedback that we can build on. And that's me for now.
Okay, so am I in lockdown? So I'll take over. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, I'm new. So if you can move to the next slide, please. So just in case we are getting into a local lockdown, we are basically planning for this situation. So we are planning to build a page on which the user will be able to actually make a search on his area based on his postcode. And then we will provide information. So if the user is actually in lockdown, we will provide a link to the national restrictions, obviously, but also information on the local restrictions. So anything which is affected by the lockdown. So it can be anything such as the businesses, the schools, childcare, and outdoor activities, for example, whatever is affected. And then obviously, if the user is not in lockdown, but we still have national restrictions, we will also provide this information. On a positive note, however, I've been informed that the infection rate is pretty low in Bucks, so hopefully we should be fine without it. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we've also been working on some improvements around main search on our website. Next slide, please. So why are we particularly interested in that? So we know that the way the search has worked in the past, because we have a good setup with Google Analytics, we know that a lot of the searches that are done on the website actually result in a no results page. So that's currently about 40% of all the searches actually over the last month have resulted in that. That's due to the way the search is currently set up. So one of the main reasons for that is that currently we're trying to match results that match all the search terms. And as an example, you can see on the right-hand side, there's a list of things that people have searched for quite often and that have produced no results. So this includes things like secondary school application or bus pass application. Usually these are searches that include more than one word, and then because the system was set up so that they would try to match all the words, then sometimes it produced no results. So what we're currently doing is we've just implemented a new search algorithm. So we're currently moving to what's called Elasticsearch, and this will produce better results already. We've tried this in a number of setups. We tried different setups, and then checking which setups work best in terms of producing good results. We've also done this in a way where we're now matching also the results where they don't match all the keywords, but maybe just some of them, right? So for example, if you search for a brown bin, even just the word bin would match something, even if it's not brown. And lastly, we are also aware that while this will have a lot of positive effects, it might also have some negative impact in terms of producing false positives, right? So if there's a lot of results currently that a lot of searches that produce no results, that will pretty much be gone more or less in the new setup. But that also means that sometimes things that actually are on the website will still produce results. Now, I just want to demonstrate the difference between these two setups very quickly. So I'm going to share my screen just to show you how that all works. Let me see if I can find the right thing. There you go. Hopefully you can see my screen. And so I'm going to try this with the old setup first. So this is on the live website at the moment. And I'm going to search for blue badge application form, which is not an uncommon search, by the way. And as you can see, it produces no results. And that's because it has to include all those words in the same result. Now, if we try this with the new setup, all right, so this is currently on our staging website. If I do the same search here, I can see 71 results, and the top results are clearly some of the more valuable ones. There's also results that I was testing, but that's just because this is a staging website, so that's not on the live website. So I want to show you what it looks like also when you maybe want to search for something that's not on the website, right? So currently there were quite a lot of searches about a month ago or 2 months ago around school uniforms and grants for school uniforms. So people were searching for things like school uniform grants. And because there isn't any information about that currently on the main website, it actually produces no results. Even if we just search for uniform, it doesn't actually find anything. But if I search for the same thing on the new setup, so now this will produce quite a lot of results. So you can see that, for example, it includes results for business grants, even though that doesn't have anything to do with school uniforms, or it actually shows results for schools or school admissions, right, which are not, again, directly linked to uniforms. So while this will have positive benefits, there will also be cases like this where people will have to figure out that actually the results that are there are not particularly relevant. So we are going to monitor over the next few months what the effect is of this search. We have of these changes. We have things set up where we can monitor user satisfaction and things like that. So we're going to keep you posted on the effect of this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass back to Colin. You're on
okay, yeah, no, I've got you. Thank you. Thank you, Boris. Okay, so we've made we've made some progress in various areas now. We've been spent a lot of time on the Family Information Service. I would like to highlight to you that we have an open roadmap on a Trello board, which is showing us sort of our broad, high-level aims for this project, and for people to be able to follow as we move through. Please go check that out. Leave any feedback. Let us know what you think about this. We're trying to be as open as we can, but please let us know if you need any more information. In terms of what's happening next, we're going to take all that we've learned with the Family Information Service. We have a prototype which we're developing. We're going to try and testing that during the next sprint, trying to get some real user feedback, make sure that we understand whether or not what we're doing is on the right track. We equally want to try and rearrange some of our navigation and build the Am I in Lockdown page so that we have something in case it's needed during the next 6 months. It seems like we may be in various degrees of are we or aren't we in lockdown. We're also I'm also looking to create a dedicated teams to concentrate better on the migration, so that we can have a sole team that is concentrating on that all the time, so we can start this roadmap of moving stuff forward. That's really important, and part of that is to create guidelines so that people can see exactly what it is we're trying to achieve, and publishing that on the source so that all the service areas are able to see what's happening. Finally, the Care Advice Bucks team are moving content over onto the Buckinghamshire sites. Much of the editing has already been done for that, but that's working. Both Family Information Service and Care Advice Bucks are being migrated over. We're working on that content at the minute. That's it. Next show and tell is on the 15th of October. Anybody has any questions, please ask us. So we're here to answer anything that you can think of. No questions. I'm thinking that's no questions. So in which case, thank you very much, and we'll see you all in 3 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.